Welcome to Hear Here, the podcast where you get a VIP behind-the-scenes look at the broad collective of music venues and festivals that make Buffalo the music destination it is. Nestled in the middle of the eclectic reclamation project known as Silo City sits a quirky little social hub, buzzing throughout all 4 seasons. In the shadows of former grain silos rests Duende, a multifaceted, multi-stage venue that's brought new life to this area. In this episode of Hear Here, we'll talk about a one-of-a-kind music venue with Duende owner Rick Smith. Rick, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Duende. It's such a great place with a lot going on. Tell me about your mission behind Duende.
Well, Duende started as a place for Silo City to actually get warm and also go to the potty. And actually, it initially was a place to just, sort of feed off of what Silo City does.
Yeah.
And Silo City at that juncture, we were collaborative arts and we were doing a lot of arts programming, but a little music. And Duende really became this place where I saw the potential to really be this cool music venue and have, 4 or 5 places to set up and play. So we started with the idea that, we want to be a music place. We want to be a music venue. And we hired a bunch of musicians for our barkeepers, and we wanted music to be sort of center. And Buffalo has such a rich musical community that we wanted to take advantage of our local music scene and also, move into getting larger acts.
Well, it's interesting that you say that about being warm. And, because Silo City, I've seen so many shows and been at Silo City. But right now, we are sitting in a very cozy space at Duende that really, makes it possible to have acts year round.
Yeah, no, and we wanted to have acts, the whole year wide. But it's a question of trying to make it as authentic as we can. And so we're in this special place of Silo City where we've got this great industrial heritage, we've got this great Haudenosaunee heritage, but we've got to sort of celebrate that. And so the bar we made from from things that actually come from the place. So the bar top is from 1906, workmen's benches up on the 5th floor of the flour mill, right across the street, and our the front of the bar is a facade from the Perot train shed, and we've got real rails and real shaker chutes, and so we've tried to build that sort of comfort in here, and also making it a little bit more cozy to have some rugs and have some fireplaces and keep it nice.
Why is it important to you to preserve that history of Buffalo? And you mentioned a lot of different elements of the history of Buffalo.
Well, I think Buffalo has this culture, its art scene. I mean, we're a huge cultural, in my mind, we're sort of Titanic on this big scale, national scale, because we've got so many cool music that has happened throughout the ages, through the jazz age, through the Colored Musicians Club, through all these great venues that I grew up, at Nietzsche's and grew up at the Sportsman and grew up, doing music at different places. But I mean, you want to add to that, and you can, and this is more of an industrial area, so this sort of adds a different sort of feel to the normal clubs that Buffalo celebrates.
Growing up here and then also being a musician yourself and, playing at some of the places that you just mentioned, how does Duende fit now? Being a fairly new-ish venue, how does that fit into the landscape of the Buffalo music scene?
Well, what we wanted to try to do is to really have a wide reach. So I think we're the only place that has chamber music on Saturdays, which is a wonderful thing that Katie's helped organize. And it's wonderful to have true, not that others are not, but true classically trained musicians playing in a place where people can go out and watch that's not at Kleinhans. Mm-hmm. So we have, the chamber music. We also have jazz every Sunday from 4 to 6 to sort of make sure that people know that they can come down and they're not going to get Americana or hip hop then. So people have a sort of a way to engage if they like particular genres of music.
Yeah. Well, this is an eclectic place in itself, then to have eclectic music, it seems to all fit together. What are some of the things as you were creating this place? Were some of the challenges? Were there architectural challenges? What are the things that you've had to overcome to create such a great space?
Well, when we decided to open up the bin floor for larger acts like Tom Stahl and the Dangerfields or some of those things, we wanted to be able to get 150 people into one place. The outdoor stage can have 500. This stage in here where we're sitting can fit about 100, and upstairs can fit 150. The cantina's about 50. So there's 4 stages that can be utilized. And upstairs was painful because we had to put in an additional egress. So it costs some heavy dough, and you say, okay, well, we're finally ready.
Yeah.
I think Tom was one of the first players up there.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk to Tom as a performer here at Duende. I'm sure, having to choose an artist, you've had so many artists through here, and just one person to talk about the space. I think you made a good choice in that, especially with his history in Buffalo. And we will be talking more about that, but we know that Buffalo is a music destination. We've been exploring that in this series. Why do you think that it is?
Well, I think, it's one of those parts of Buffalo that is celebrated. It is known about Buffalo that there is a great music scene in town, and it's been, known for as long as I can remember. And, I've seen Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt and Nietzsche's, and I've seen a bunch of my songwriting heroes there, from outside, but our own, Ani DeFranco and Willie Niles and, some of our own products of our town are out there making a name for themselves.
On this campus, since you've owned it and had so many different musicians, can you remember a time where you saw a performance or there was something happening where you just got excited and said, oh, this is really happening here?
Yeah, no, I mean, inside the silos, we've done this collaborative sort of artwork, and part-time is in conjunction with Just Buffalo Literary Center. And so we have spoken word and music inside Marina A. And to have that sort of venue with 40-second reverb or resonance in the silo is pretty unique and special. So when this woman, Megan, performed in there, it was, it sent chills through everybody because it was just so magical. And we've had David Bromberg on site, one of the old greats, and we had Sun June just this past summer perform, and it's great to have these performers want to play, and it's like the poetry that we've built up. The top 3 or 4 poets on the planet have read here, so it's good. But as music goes, I mean, we try to do our best.
Well, and do you think that your musical background and your taste and your experience in music has helped guide the experience here at Duende?
Yeah, we're pretty collaborative though that way, and I rely a lot, in the building of Duende and Silo City as a whole. I've relied a lot on fellow musicians, but also fellow artists. I've been out of the scene a little bit for a while, but to really sort of let them help shape where this place wants to go, both musically and artistically.
So obviously you have a lot going on here, but there's also a future of Duende. And what is important to you to, maintain with Duende? And what is the important things for Duende's future to happen? And what are the things that you would like to see?
Well, I'd love to see the music tradition carrying on. I think it only gets stronger the longer you promoting the musical acts. And I think, some of our regular performers, John Bacon, the Skiffle Minstrels, some of the guys who have regular gigs, and I know you're going to talk to Tom later, but those are the things that we want to build on, and hopefully their careers get better because they have a steady place to go and watch or be seen. And that is, my hope is that we become a place where, traveling musicians really want to want to come. And if we can collaborate with the other music venues, the Sportsman's, the church and Nietzsche's, and if there are people coming through by Toronto or to Rochester on the way to Cleveland, there's that ability for us to say, look, stop here, and if we provide, one of my jobs as a venue owner is to provide a really cool place. And ideally, I'd love to have either the caboose or one of these places as an artist residence so that the band or the musicians can stay here and not worry about finding accommodation elsewhere. So that would be a dream where I think we take it to the next level to really accommodate, because it's such a cool place.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that's true for fans too, right? If there's music fans coming to Buffalo, maybe because they're coming for a bigger show, they may be coming here because, they live in Rochester or Syracuse, even New York, and there's an artist coming here and they think, well, I'll check out Buffalo and go see that. There's also other things they can do here and other music they can check out, like coming to Duende for a show.
No, and that's what's great is as we evolve into becoming a little bit of a destination for whether it's architects or architecture students or just travelers who are interested in cultural heritage side of things and the industrial heritage. We get a lot of people from around the globe, and if we can tie in music, to their visit, which we have on a lot of occasions. You can look through our visitors log. They'll sign in, and they're from Czechoslovakia, and and hopefully that's what it breeds, is that you get a lot more international music to come through, and a lot more really sort of cutting edge musicians that are really trying to break in.
Yeah. Well, this is a very welcoming space. There's a lot of different aspects to it, and I look forward to more shows here. Thank you for talking to us and taking the time.
Thank you.
Rick Smith's vision is alive and well along the Buffalo River. It's such a unique space for musicians to perform and for music lovers to take in a show. As promised, Rick introduced us to Tom Stahl. Tom, I'm honored to be talking to you today, especially as a Buffalo Music Hall of Fame inductee. 30 years you've been on the music scene, right? Your first album released in 1995?
1995. First it was a cassette. That's how long ago it was. And later on we made it a CD.
And you've been performing in Buffalo this whole time.
Ever since, yeah.
And you have performed at different venues in Buffalo. We're here at Duende.
Yes, we are.
You are one of the favorites.
This is our residency. This is our home. Yeah.
So what stands out to you about this venue, and what makes you appreciate and like to play this venue?
Well, it comes from the top down. I mean, Rick as a musician, all right, when you got a musician who owns the place, he's going to treat you well. And it's just the whole vibe of the place. I mean, this is somewhere you have to know it's here to get to. It's more of a destination than just a music club. Yeah.
People come here because they want to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once they come here, even if you got to drag them here the first time, they want to come back. And it's not just the music, it's just the whole atmosphere.
Yeah. And there are multiple stages here. I know you play with the Dangerfields. Yep. And then you also do your own stuff.
Yeah.
Are there different stages that maybe lend better to different performances or different styles that you've played?
Not really. We played on all three. Well, I haven't played in the cantina yet, but we did the outdoor stage during the summer. We did upstairs for our Christmas party last year. And this stage here is just so cozy and comfortable.
Yeah. How would you explain the audience when you're on stage, or the people that come to the shows?
Safe.
Yeah.
It just really feels like a safe place,
For you as a musician?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do all original and stuff, and so, there's not a lot of places that, hey, come here if you got original music.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest gig to get.
Yeah.
So when you have a place that welcomes it and encourages it, it doesn't get any better.
It seems very welcoming.
Yes.
Do you think the backdrop here in Silo City, how does that connect to musicians and having this in your performance space?
Well, it's just the history around the place. The whole complex is all about the arts.
Yeah. And you're very humble in your accomplishments, but you've opened for some pretty big artists. Buddy Guy, Joan Osborne, Black 47.
Well, it's like I opened for Joan Osborne, and I was just starting out. I don't know how. Mike Meldrum probably asked me to do it, and I opened for her. I got an ovation actually at Nietzsche's, but it was like 11 o'clock. I had a newborn, well, not, he was like a 3-year-old kid, and I just wanted to go home. And I go home, and like 2 weeks later, there's Joan Osborne on MTV, and I was like, wow, I probably should have stuck around or something and maybe talked to her or networked or something, but it's not really my forte.
Do you remember your first performances in Buffalo?
Yeah, it was my first open mic. I was just telling those guys about it. I was at Nietzsche's. I went there like 6 weeks in a row because my wife thought I had a nice voice and I should be singing out. And she kind of insisted on me going out and doing it. And so I went to Nietzsche's because it was the place to go, Mike Meldrum's open mic. And like I said, I went about 6 weeks in a row, chickened out every time. And then it was my New Year's resolution that I was going to get up on stage and sing. And again, January 2nd, well, into January 3rd, and I was walking out again. And Mike Meldrum said, hey, no one's going to hurt you here. And I played a song, and he like turned around and looked at me, and he like, do another. And I did another, and he said, you're a songwriter. I was like, oh, okay. He said, you want to do a show? And I said, well, I only have those 3 songs. And he said, well, go write some more. And I did, and yeah.
And here you are. So why is it important to have a space that encourages up-and-coming musicians, as Duende seems to be doing, but also encourages good music?
Well, like I said, it's like there's a lot of great cover bands in Buffalo, a lot of great musicians everywhere, and there's a lot of places for them to play. But if you're writing your own songs or writing your own music, there's not a lot that want you. Yeah.
So how do you think music has become so important in Buffalo and has become such a part of the landscape?
Well, I think it's always been, and it always used to be that if you want to make it in Buffalo, leave, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, the Goo Goo Dolls, Ani, and I don't think they didn't really make it in Buffalo, but it was like because they were from Buffalo, that's why they made it.
When you're on the stage here or in any of the other spots that you perform, what are your feelings as a musician? I know you said it's welcoming, but how does this space feel to you?
Normally, I'm looking down because I get easily distracted, and if I see someone out in the crowd, so normally I'm just looking down. So I'm not sure how to answer that.
That's your look down. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you took the time today.
Oh,
Obviously, you're a very
important
fixture in the Buffalo music scene.
That's a little painful to hear.
You have a following. Let's
put
it that way.
Yes, I have some loyal people, and that's the thing. They came here, and it's kind of centrally located because I got a lot of people in the south towns and the north towns, and plus, it's just such a great. I mean, once you find it, you don't want to leave. Yeah. It's like a little island in the city of Buffalo.
Yeah. That's a great way to explain it. Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for talking about the venue and your music.
Thanks for having me.
Tom is a modest musician, but trust me, he does have a following, and he is an incredible songwriter. He also has a rich history of performing in many of the places we've visited here on Here Here. Finally, we sit down with James Duggan to talk about the importance that Duende in Silo City has to his entire family. Hi, James. Thanks for hanging out with us today.
Glad to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you, especially as the owner has identified you as a fan of Duende, and after my conversation with him, I'm excited to talk to you.
Thank you.
Do you remember your first show here? Or one of the first shows?
I do. The first show was my friend Tom Stahl said
way.
he's playing Duende. What is Duende?
Yeah.
And he started explaining Silo City, and the attraction was electric. And first time here, Tom always lights things up for us, but it was just a neat venue. I think I came with my brother and my wife, and maybe my younger sister.
Yeah.
My younger sister was with one of the architectural firms that was vital down here. And so she knew the area, and she said she had never been, but we fell in love. And I mean, there are so many different spots in this area that it was exciting for us. Yeah.
Very unique.
Very, very much so. Yeah. It's the lure of the city, I think, is one thing, but the lure of this area is really special. I was thinking as I was listening to the earlier interviews, what is it about this area? Well, it turns out my father was actually raised down here in the ward.
No way.
So there's a homespun pull, and it's kind of nice to be in the neighborhood, in the hood. Yeah.
You obviously had a great experience at your first show, and you keep coming back. What is it about the place?
Winter, spring, summer, fall. It's open, and it's different musical venues that you just want some music.
Yeah.
It's a great spot to come.
Yeah. And we've established now it seems very welcoming.
Very, very much so. It's home.
Now, did you ever have a moment where you said, this is my place? Do you remember a this is my place moment?
Well, yeah, it kind of grows on it. And I think we came to the Festivus Christmas show, and the place was packed. It was electric, and it just felt so good. I think we came with like 20 family friends, and
wow.
We all just felt so good about being here. And anytime you can find a place like that where you feel safe, and at the same time you can sing, you can dance, you can smile and be happy.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah. There's so many aspects of this venue. It's great to talk to you and hear about your experience. And I can picture the singing and dancing with your 20 friends and family members.
Exactly.
And
of course, we all think that we have the best voices.
I'm sure you do.
Tom Stahl has dubbed us the rhythmically challenged Duggan family. And yes, but we still have a great time.
How would you explain the vibe here in the crowd here, outside of your group? How would you explain
It's very,
it?
very welcoming.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. You were talking, Rick was talking about people coming from all over. It would be tough not to feel comfortable here, regardless of where you're from.
Yeah.
Buffalo has sort of this Midwestern attitude of open the door and come on in, you're welcome, and get that feeling here very much so.
So we're experiencing beautiful weather today, and I know we've been talking about the landscape and the architecture, but you can ride your bike down here. You can have a full experience. Have you had any experiences at the outdoor stages, or how?
Well, my biking days are probably behind me. I think they're talking about getting me an electric bike at this point. So no, I haven't biked, but walking around and just feeling the sense of an art community in the city. And I think I've always looked to the city of Buffalo as being the hub of art in our community.
Yeah.
And that they're doing something like this down here, downtown. But, this is the area where so many of the immigrants, so many of my family came to, because this is where the jobs were, on the water, in the mills, working in the silos and the grain, working with the grain elevators and things. So it's nice to be back.
It's a full circle moment for you. And
yes,
your family.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
And you'll continue to come here to see shows?
Absolutely. And 3 daughters, 2 of whom are out of town, one who just moved back after being gone for 30 years. And she and her husband are saying, the music scene here is vital. It's vibrant. Our two other daughters come back and they say, where's Tom Stahl playing this week? And we talk about Duende. Two of the three have been here, love it. And our third will be coming in shortly after the holidays, and we'll bring her down here. And I know that she will love it also.
Well, the Buffalo music community thrives on great fans like you. So thank you for supporting it and for supporting this venue.
Well, I'm not sure I'm a great fan, but I love music and I love enjoying a good evening. And Duende provides that opportunity every single time we've been here.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
That wraps up this episode of Here Here. Be sure to check out more episodes on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Buffalo is a unique music destination, and we uncover it all on Here Here. This program is produced by Buffalo Toronto Public Media for Visit Buffalo Niagara. I'm Bentley. Thanks for listening.